Hey folks, Bob Kitchen here once again with the Hill Unscripted. I'm one of the owners here at Maple Hill Golf, and you're listening to the official podcast, the Hill Unscripted. I'm here with my good friend, co-worker, and one of my head fitters, Richard Phillips. He's been with us for a long time. How long have you been with us?
Next year is going to be year 10.
Year 10.
10.
And we've had some good times. We had a little ups and downs, but
It's with the business.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Nothing's perfect. But I can tell Richard left us for a little while, went to work up north in the golf biz, and then came back. And I honestly can say this in all sincerity, I couldn't be happier to have Richard back. And you've been back for a couple years now?
Yeah, it was 2020.
Okay,
went up
3
north.
years now,
yep.
yeah. So, and he does a lot of our club fitting and all that, so we're going to get into all that kind of thing. So you guys can understand a little bit more about Richard and some of the cool things that go along with him. I want to talk about a couple things that happened recently. I want to talk about Chris Gotterup beating Rory McIlroy in the Scottish Open, which was incredible. So did you watch any of that? Did you catch the end of it at all?
It's a great finish.
Chris Gotterup, I'm a golf fan. Basketball is my favorite sport. Golf's what I do for a living. I'm certainly a golf fan. I think I might have heard the guy's name once or twice before, like ever in my life. And I think most people on planet Earth know who Rory McIlroy is. So if that doesn't tell you what I've been preaching on this podcast the last 6 or 7 episodes, or however long I've been doing this now, golf is hard. It's super hard. And Rory is so good, and he's won every major now, and he's a phenomenal player, and Chris Gotterup beat him. Who is Chris Gotterup? Doesn't matter. He's the guy who beat Rory McIlroy in the Scottish Open, so I mean, can't really argue with that. So I want to talk more about the Open over in Europe here. And the next segment, I want to just talk about Chris Gotterup for just a second and just how hard golf is, and him beating Rory is just incredible. The next thing I want to mention, one of my favorite people in the United States of America is my mother, Nancy Kitchen. She recently did a putter fitting. I love harping on Nancy a little bit because I had her on the show here. I think you're aware of that.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I had Dub, not Richard, but I had one of our other fitters, Dub, do a fitting for my mother for a putter fitting. And she was like, I think I need zero torque, Bob. I watched your podcast. I think I need zero torque. And she was kind of making a joke of it all. And she ended up getting down to a zero torque antidote, the Mallet 1 SB2 or whatever that's called. Then she got down to that, or AI1 milled with a slant neck. And the slant neck's got some toe hang to it.
Yeah, a little bit toe hang.
And and my mom has a tendency to flip the toe shut. So that toe hang actually ended up beating out the antidote just ever so slightly because it prevented that toe from flipping.
Yeah.
So when you're doing putter fittings, Richard, you're trying to fight their miss hit with a putter, right? By as far as toe hang, amount of toe hang, how their hands are moving.
Right. Yeah. Asking them, like, kind of watch them roll a few putts, and typically you can see some tendencies in what they might do. But on the golf course, like, hey, do you feel like you tend to pull putts, or you might push putts a little bit more than not? And I might do kind of this or that, and then kind of figure out, like, maybe a little double bend, something a little face balanced might help you fight this, or slant neck might help you fight this, and whatever it might be. So definitely getting it to where you're rolling that ball straight. So.
Exactly, as consistent as possible. And
right.
Doesn't mean everybody needs the same thing.
No. We see wild variations in putter fittings.
That's why there's so many freaking putters, right?
Oh, yeah.
And my mom says, she goes, have you ever watched this camera? And I was like, yeah, Mom. She's like, this thing's incredible. I had no idea. And I was like, well, you bought it, Mom. Like, you and Dad kind of own the business, and Andy and I are part of it. But my mom was like just flabbergasted at how like phenomenal this is. She's like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Granted, my mom's 74 and doesn't get excited about too much anymore. She's had 6 hole-in-ones now, right? So there's not a whole lot to get excited about. But she was taken back by that. We use Quintic, which is the putter fitting leading system, basically, right?
So much data.
That's what all the pros use.
It's incredible.
The camera system is sweet, where you can actually see how it's moving and what it's actually doing. It's like videotaping yourself with a golf swing, but it's much more. It's a slower swing, right? It's a putter, so the thing's barely moving, as opposed to a driver's moving 115 miles an hour, wherever your speed is.
Wherever it's
Mine's
at.
moving 70. Richard's got a little more speed than it. What putter do you use?
I have a Bettinardi BB1 limited run.
Okay.
So I got a Bettinardi. It's Plumber's Neck.
Plumber's Neck, normal, slight toe hang.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is what the guy there was a ping guy that won a few weeks ago. He was using an old school Answer style. Yours looks like an Answer style, right? Or Scotty Cameron Newport. So, and I use a face balanced Innovate from Bettinardi. So whatever. Nance is now using a toe hang AI1 milled. So that's enough about my mom, but I had to bring her up. I love it. Here's my next subject. This is an interesting one because I've often said like how frustrating this would be, and bear with me, Richard, make sure this makes sense to you too. So imagine making the best product in the world, but you can't get anyone to try it because of the stigmatism around your brand. So you've been a long Cobra staff member.
Now,
yeah. So Corey Graff, our little tiny sales rep, and Richard hit it off, and Richard bangs the ball, right? He moves it good, and do you have a handicap? You got a 2 or 3 or scratch, or what are you?
Usually just play out 0.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, he's freaking good. He's a million times better than I am. And how old are you?
32.
32, yeah. And Richard's a strong kid, and he can move the golf ball on the course very far. So Cobra has oftentimes been the best or at the very top of our testing.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially in the driver world,
yeah.
which is the most easy thing to test because it's a club that is just designed to go far.
Right.
A 7-iron, if your 7-iron goes further, then what are you going to do when you need to hit, an 8, and then your 8 goes far, then your 9, then now you had a pitching wedge that went 120, and now it goes 130. So what do you do from 120? So irons that go far, who cares? But drivers, it's certainly a topic because that's your main distance golf club. So we'll pick on Cobra for a minute because Richard's sitting here and he's a Cobra staff member. So let's just say that you get a guy that comes here and says, I'm a Titleist guy. All I want to do is play Titleist. You've definitely waited on this guy.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Numerous
plenty of
times.
Titleist, or a TaylorMade guy, or a Callaway guy,
Right.
or a Ping guy, or whatever
Right.
brand it would happen to be. And they just won't even hit the Cobra. And then if you can possibly sneak it into their hands and go, yeah, just take 5 swings with this, and they hit it better, there's sometimes they still won't buy it.
Right. 100%. Yeah. They're fixated on like, this is what I play. This is what I got to have.
Yeah.
And, it's like, this is, you're getting like 8 yards tighter dispersion. You're hitting it, 7, 8 yards farther, but they still are kind of locked into their brand.
It's amazing.
So,
And like, just imagine how frustrating that is for a brand like Cobra, like Wilson. Wilson has a great product, right?
Yeah,
Last
absolutely.
Year and this year, their driver and their irons tested phenomenal.
absolutely.
Clubs work.
Yeah.
But it's Wilson.
Right.
And Wilson's kind of lost that stigmatism of like old man, boring, blah, blah, blah. Like they've got some young, cool guys, and even kids are buying Wilson again. But they're like, oh, Wilson, that's got to be cheap. Well, Wilson makes cheap stuff. Recreational is what they call it. And then Wilson staff stuff is like all world. So how frustrating, here's my point. Here's my question. Here's the crux of it. How frustrating would it be to be Wilson Golf or Cobra Golf and your product is superior and they still won't buy the thing? Can you imagine that?
Just absolute utter frustration.
I
You're
mean,
grinding your teeth.
banging your head against the wall.
Yeah.
Like, we've got a better mousetrap, folks, and you still won't use it. So I think that's what happened with Nike Golf. Were you around in the Nike days when they were selling clubs?
Oh, yeah.
Were you here for
Oh, yeah.
Covert and all that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So Nike actually had some really good golf clubs that actually performed really good. And they had the number 1 player in the world, this guy named Tiger Woods. And they had the number 2 player in the world, this guy named Rory McIlroy. And those two guys appeal to pretty much everyone on planet Earth. If you didn't like Tiger, you probably liked Rory. If you didn't like Rory, you probably liked Tiger. And they still couldn't make it.
Right.
And their product wasn't even bad.
No.
It actually hit pretty good. Pro combos and the Covert Woods and Sasquatch Woods. And they made the square one. That one sounded like
It was.
a broken bell.
It was a hair loud.
It was a hair loud.
It was a hair loud.
That might have been the nail in the coffin for them. But these old people that are so set in their ways wouldn't switch brands because it's Nike, and I just don't trust Nike yet. Like, I think most everybody trusts Titleist.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they just trust them to make a good golf club. Now, up until Titleist hired chief metalwood designer, Stephanie Bazilla. She is in charge of Titleist Metalwood. She started back 13 or 15 or one of those models. Did you know that?
Yeah.
You ever met her? She comes in here once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And her brother's a golf pro in Michigan, too. But yeah, she literally, the high school that's 3 miles from Maple Hill, that girl is in charge of Titleist Metalwood. She's a engineer, clearly, and really, really smart and understands what people want as far as looks, feel, design. And how big does that play into it? We'll get into feel in just a minute. I want to talk to you about that. But she kind of changed it around, and the wood started going far. Because they always sold irons, they always sold Vokeys, they always sold Camerons. But drivers, not everybody. A lot of people played TaylorMade and Callaway drivers back then.
Right.
So when you're doing a fitting, Richard, how important is it that the club not only do they like the look of it, which I don't think too many of them look bad anymore, but they like the sound or feel of it. Is that which is acoustic sometimes?
Yeah, right. With like sound is like feel. So something sounds loud, usually it feels firm, right? And then on the opposite side, so like a big part of like how I like Cobra personally, it's kind of a little more muted, a little quieter, so it kind of gives you like a softer kind of thump.
Yeah.
And that can play a big factor in, it's a positive reaction. Like, oh, I love the feel of this.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it ends up getting positive results, right? Because
Yeah.
they swing it comfortably, they swing it confidently and everything. So feel can play a pretty decent size factor into the fitting process and everything. Like even with the shaft,
Yeah.
I like how this feels. Yeah, that kicks great. That feels too heavy, too stiff.
Exactly.
So playing off of, what the golfer has given me feedback-wise, can play very, very heavily into that. And a lot of it is, a good chunk of it is feel. So a lot of good-looking drivers for sure don't really get any negative comments. I mean, you get, Cobra had orange, white,
all the
black.
colors.
Yeah. Toned it down a little bit more. So, so a lot of good-looking drivers don't really get bad responses there. But sound and feel is definitely a big thing and a big reaction when it comes to club fitting, for sure.
Absolutely. So like you not only have to have the club perform well and has to be aesthetically pleasing, it has to be acoustically, or people call it feel, has to feel good. And then you have to have the right shaft in it, and these companies work hard at making sure they've got the right shaft mix. And I guess my whole point is that the customer that's the most open-minded has the best chance for success.
Oh, yeah.
That's hard to argue, right?
Yeah, you can't
argue that.
Can't argue that.
So if the guy comes in and goes, I want to hit the new Titleist irons and this is what I want to hit. Okay. Maybe they are the best for you. But until we hit the Mizuno and the Cobra, Forge Tech or whatever, whatever goes up against the new T250s or whatever, we're not sure it's the best for you.
Right.
So my point is, folks, if you can keep an open mind, it will be advantageous to you to just give something a try. And I've always tell my kids are 16 and 14, and I always tell them, you probably haven't even tasted your favorite food yet. Like, what do you mean, Dad? I'm like, you don't know what your favorite food for the rest of your life is until you've eaten it, and you probably haven't eaten it yet because you're too young. And I'm like, okay. My point to them is just be open-minded, be willing to try some things. Doesn't mean you have to eat fish eggs if you don't want to eat fish eggs, but just if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, and give it a whirl. Here's another one. Here's another topic that was brought up by a customer that I want to get into. Explain the differences between golf shafts. So I had a guy in here the other day. He was fit for Dynamic Gold 105s, and we had Modus 105s in stock and didn't have Dynamic Gold 105s. Like, I think I've touched on this a little bit, so I don't want to dwell on this topic too much. But like, when you have a 105 gram steel shaft, it just is a 105 gram steel shaft.
Right.
You just can't change it a whole super ton.
Right.
You just can't. And like, if anybody thinks that there's just an absolute magic wand for driver shafts, then why does almost everybody on tour play a different shaft or a variation of a certain shaft? Like right now, Fujikura Venice kind of rules the world as far as on tour goes, and it certainly sells like crazy. But they all play different variations. Some play black, some play blue. I think a few of them play red. And then some of them play really heavy, some of them play a little lighter, some of them play TX, X, stiff, tip trimmed, blah, 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 blah. There just is no magic wand.
Right.
It'd be nice if there was.
Yeah, it would. It'd make fitting a lot
Your fitting would go a
easier.
lot faster, exactly right. But when you're doing a fitting, you're basically trying to figure out, like, if they're using a model head that has less loft, like we'll call it a T350 Titleist, has a lower lofted pitching wedge, you oftentimes have to counteract that by going to a shaft that kicks it higher, which is generally going to be lighter.
Right, typically much lighter for sure.
Yeah. So if the guy wants to hit it low, you got to go a little heavier shaft to keep the ball flight where he wants it.
Right.
Because he might not want it to balloon up into the air. He might want it to go low. So the shaft thing, these people were asking me about Newton shafts and all these different marketing companies online. I'm sure you get that.
So many marketing shafts out there.
Yeah,
so
there's just no magic wand, folks. Like, if it sounds too good to be true, probably is. So you kind of got to watch a little bit with the online marketing companies with a lot of broken promises, and then, this is only $250, or it's $350 and $100 off. I saw that the other day on Newton. I was like, when was it ever $350? I think it started off at $250. Might as well put it was $1,000, now $250, just $750 off. You can make up any imaginary number you want on the front end of it. Enough about shafts, but would you say that Flex, if you had to choose one thing, flex or length?
Probably flex.
Because they can always bend down a little bit more if they absolutely had to.
Yeah. Which, I mean, on an iron, especially, length is super important because you're digging into the ground and you're topping the ball for sure.
Right.
But a lot of times, a good portion of everybody basically fits very standard for lengthwise.
Yeah.
Because humans are pretty proportionally shaped for the most part.
Right.
So usually, like, the arm length plays a big factor. So
Yeah.
you always get that tall guy comes in, I need longer length. Well, you got long arms. Measure them up.
Yeah.
That's standard. You haven't
Right.
tried standard, hit it great. So I would definitely say that flex quite a bit because, I mean, how much that thing kicks down, in the swing too can, alter that, can very much change that, if they do need that length or not. Have seen that before. So.
And then as far as weight of shafts go, do you get into that with every fitting that you do, or do you only get into that with like your elevated player? Like if a guy's coming in there and he's shooting 95 to 105, like a relatively beginner, you're kind of just fitting him in the flex and length, I would imagine. Like you can't worry too terrible much about it.
Yeah, and somebody fresh into it, like, the better the swing is, the more efficient the swing is, the more speed gets generated, right? With that efficiency at the same time.
Yeah.
So usually that guy, your more intro golfer, going lighter, make it easy to swing. Don't make it hard.
Right.
They can feel the head. They can feel the golf club. So you're going something lighter. And then, to your point, you're just kind of a little bit lighter weight, kind of figuring out what flex and length at that point too as well. So. And
then grip size, grip type. Kind of the last two pieces of the puzzle there. So that's enough about shafts. I don't want to talk about that anymore. It's just go hit them and see what works for you, folks. There's no magic wand. I wish there was. I'd be great. I could keep up with Richard. If something made me swing a lot faster and hit it like him, I'd be great. But I think that'd be more like Fountain of Youth, which I don't think Ponce de Leon ever found that.
It's somewhere.
Best of my knowledge. I've seen some. Never mind. What's the best way to get fitted? I'm gonna let you take that one, Rich. What's the best way to get fitted? So to start, I would think it would be like when you actually have a swing going.
Right. Yeah, consistency.
In January in Michigan, if you haven't been playing a lot of indoor golf, you probably don't have a swing going.
No.
So it's probably a bad time to get fitted.
Yeah, you've got to kind of shake the cobwebs loose.
And the other thing I think that plays into this is what's the best way to get fitted? Like if you have no budget in mind, then spring's probably fine. Hit the new stuff. Some of the old stuff's probably gone by then, depending on what it was. And you can just get whatever the hell, right? Like just who cares?
It's fresh,
you have
it's
budget.
available.
Yeah, it's available.
Yep.
But if the guy that wants to pinch a few pennies and save a few bucks, which we have a handful of those in West Michigan, it's probably like off season is a good time to get fitted realistically. Like when we're doing golf shows and all that stuff, we got all those sales and deals on products that's going away.
Yeah,
It's a good timing.
Right, inventory's up on closeout stuff, selling a bunch of stuff, and I would agree with that.
But other than that, like your busiest time is probably April, May, June, July.
Yeah, a little bit into July, April, May, June for sure.
Yeah,
super busy. Because usually you got at that point all that new stuff is out. And it's talked about, and there's conversation on everything.
Exactly. So. Not too many companies release stuff after June. Like Titleist is bringing out those irons right now, but that's pretty rare. They pulled that forward because they have a really good mousetrap that Dub hit him yesterday and was like, "Wow, these."
He was raving about him yesterday.
I know.
Raving. Yeah.
I know. But Dub gets real excited. He's a Titleist guy too. So that's good. So so the best way to get fitted is we're a top 100 fitter, so I would say here, and I would say depending on how your swing is looking, that plays a huge piece. Right. If you've been playing some, now we've sold so many simulators and so many people go play simulator golf, here or at their house or at X Golf, or there's a million places around Grand Rapids you can go keep your swing fresh.
Right.
If you're keeping your swing fresh at a reasonable rate, any time of year is a good time to get fitted. We run some promotions in like October, November when it's slow. So that's not a bad idea. I also love the guy that I got a golf trip in 3 weeks. I want to come in and get fitted and bring new clubs. Well, you don't know your distances yet. Like, you don't know a lot of different things. Those are the fun ones, right? Yeah. I would try to jump way ahead of that personally, but I get it. I've taken new drivers on golf trips and just hope to God it works.
Yeah, the unfamiliarity of the golf club.
Yeah. If it has the same shaft in it, now everything's adjustable, so you can oftentimes just put the same shaft in it and go from there. So moving on to the next thing, the mailbag question, one of my favorites. Question from Spotify. I think the guy's name is Tyler. Tyler, thank you for the question. And this one's about mini drivers, which I went over either last episode or 2 episodes ago. The question is simply, who are they for? Rich, I'm going to let you answer that first, and then I'll jump in. Who's a mini driver for?
Mini driver, essentially you're a more forgiving, like 3-wood on steroids, basically. Yep. So you get the guy that
it's like a 2-wood.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you get the guy that might struggle with the driver a bit. A lot of it tends to be hitting down into it, maybe a little more than what's recommended.
Yeah, negative angle of attack.
Yeah, yes. Yep. So you just get that bigger head, that more forgiving head. Does spin typically less than what your normal 3-wood does because they come in lower lofts. But it can just help you find that fairway more with a little bit longer than your standard 3-wood. You know, a little more forgiving than it too as well. So usually kind of that guy does fit pretty well. It's a little bit of a niche market or smaller market kind of overall, but it has its utility. You see tour guys playing it in different ways. They'll hit it off the deck, which that's just super difficult to do with that because that big head that they have. So so something that's definitely a longer, more forgiving, like 3-wood, like off the tee box typically.
Agreed. So my answer, who are they for? My short answer would be everyone, but that doesn't mean everyone's going to want one or is going to buy one. It's the primary purpose is for the guy who struggles with a driver. Just can't hit it straight enough, consistent enough. Because usually about 1.5 to 2 inches shorter. It's in that neighborhood, right?
Right around that. Yeah.
1.5 to 2 inches shorter. So it's more the length of what drivers were in the late 90s. Drivers have gotten considerably longer.
Right.
Driver used to be 44. Now they're all like 45 and 3/4. So the mini driver, is about 1.5 to 2 inches shorter, which makes your consistency a little higher. You're gonna hit the ball in the center of the face more often.
Right.
So your best shot's still gonna beat it with a driver, but your average distance might go up because you hit it more consistent in the middle of the face. So I hope that answers your question, Tyler. If not, you can always email in or whatever, and you can email me myself directly, and I'll talk to you further about it. But that's kind of who they're for. The Maple Spill. So we have an annual event that we named the Pops. Pops was my grandfather, Ron Kitchen. Everyone called him Pops. He introduced himself as Pops. He was one of the finest human beings the good Lord ever made. He's an awesome guy. So and he was one of the funnest people you ever met. He loved to party. He was a great friend and a great grandfather and a great dad and just a great guy all around. Everyone loved the guy. He'd always stop and talk to you. Did you ever get to meet him or no?
I did not.
He was before you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. He died of Alzheimer's years ago, right when my son was born. So almost coming up on 17 years ago. So yeah, this is 17th annual. So there you go. I guess we started this right after he passed. So Thursday, August 21st, 4-man scramble, 8 a.m., $240 per team. Bunch of money goes to Alzheimer's. It's a super fun event. There's tee gifts, long drive, close to the pin, on-course games, skins, 50-50, lunch after the round, the whole thing. Registration begins now. Visit maplehillgolf.com, or you can email your registration to Amanda at maplehillgolf.com. Amanda heads up that portion of it, and it'll also be linked in the video. Thank you, Caitlin. You played this before, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
It's a blast.
Incredible outing.
It's the best outing.
It really is. It's so good.
The grand prizes are dope. They get all donated or whatever from sales reps and stuff. So this one will fill up fast, folks. I can guarantee you. So get your registration into Amanda at maplehillgolf.com today. That is the Maple Spill. Richard, I want to thank you very much for coming on here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We're going to shoot a little video here with Richard before too long about what's in the bag and kind of get a little more in depth about all that fun stuff because it is cool for our viewers and listeners and loyal Maple Hill subscribers to hear about what the fitters do and like why they use what they use and what they like about it and all that stuff. So we'll get into that, and new episodes every other week, folks. So be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts, if it's the podcast app or Spotify or whatever. And I know this is growing a little bit. My buddy Riley Fellows reached out to me. He's like, he lives in Florida. He's a Bushnell sales rep. He's like, love your podcast, dude. Keep doing a great job. And then the guys that own Arnie's Bakery, which is now called Beer City Brewworks, there's a bunch of brothers that I love deeply. They're great human beings. They were like, hey, dude, your podcast is killing it. You're doing a great job. And I said, all right, I'm just going to try to make it a little bit more fun. I think it's been a little bit stodgy at times, me listening to myself, but it's also me listening to myself. I don't think anybody really likes to listen to themselves. So
right.
I'm going to try to keep making it fun. I enjoy having Richard on here and having the few laughs we've had and kind of going over some stuff and giving away shoes and all that. So it's good to let the good times roll. So again, folks, thank you very much, and we'll see you again before too long.